people like to adorn themselves with all kinds of things, crosses, lots of gold. If you're familiar with Mr. T, he always had gold everywhere. I mean, I think the man has no more neck. I mean, he had so much gold on his body. I mean, how could you even function like that? But there's a British model. She decided to take part of a very personal part of her body and turn it into designer jewelry. Now, what she did was she had some surgery. She had a labiaplasty. What happens in the labiaplasty, they removed basically part of the labia. And the reason why she did this is because there was a cyst there, and that's a very sensitive area to have a cyst. And they had to remove some parts. So instead of getting rid of the tissue, which is what most doctors or hospitals do, they don't say, we cut this thing out of your body. Would you like it? But she said, hey, you cut off this piece of me. I want you to give this to me.
Tracy kiss.
Tracy kiss, thank you. But she made a choker out of it, and there's a picture of it. She holds it up there. And because it's not embalmed properly or preserved properly, it shrivels up and turns gray. So she decided to put glitter on it because that makes everything better. Is just put glitter on it. Okay. Atheist Ranger, your thoughts?
Just wow. Just when I thought I'd seen everything.
I know, right? There's some really weird people out there with some really weird things there.
Just when I think I saw all the kinks in the world. Just I get surprised.
Yeah, yeah, no, right? I didn't think anybody was going to actually do this, you know. I mean, the thing is, they're not equal pieces. Like, one side looks like it's a little bit longer, and the other one is a little smaller, and it's got a little curve to it. I like looking at that part of a woman's body. I didn't think I'd see it around a woman's neck. I mean, not like that anyway. Matt, your thoughts?
I'm reminded by the song by the Doors, People Are Strange.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It is incredibly weird. It's incredibly weird.
I'd have to agree with the atheist on that. You've seen everything, and then you see something like this. It's like, okay.
Yeah, the things that people do it's just amazing. Tucker, your thoughts?
I have serious doubts about the validity of this story. First of all, it claims that there was a cyst, and that's why she had to have them removed.
Right.
Now, there is a whole thing apparently where people are having plastic surgery to their labia to make it look more like what they see in pornography.
Yeah, that is actually very common, actually.
Yeah, so, you know, she talks about having had breast implants and still having them. So I'm thinking, you know, that's a possibility. Also, the other thing I'm thinking about is I know somebody who recently underwent gender reassignment surgery. They were not allowed to keep their parts.
I do want to point out one thing here. The fact is that this did not happen here in the United States. This did happen over in Britain. So they might be a little bit more lax and say...
Right, but see, here's the thing, is one of the reasons why you're not allowed to keep your parts is because they're biohazard.
Right, that's very true.
It could be different in the UK than it is in the US, but I'm not inclined to think so. I you know, and I'm saying this as a guy who, when he was a kid, thought the neatest thing in the world was his grandfather showing him the jar filled with these gallstones.
I think they do let you keep those.
Yeah.
They're not biological, they're stones.
Yeah, but like in the 50s, now, again, this was in the US, but you would figure that the laws in the U.S. in the 50s would be way more lax than any laws in the U.K. are now when it comes to these things. In the 50s, William S. Burroughs was infatuated with somebody, and I don't know who it was, and they did not share his interest. So he, a state of depression or fueled by his drug abuse, he thought that it would be a really good idea to clip the tip of his pinky, you know, from the knuckle up.
Oh.
And send it to him. What he didn't count on when he did that, Burroughs went to med school at Harvard, so he did have some medical training or whatever. He didn't count on how bad it would hurt, and he wound up in the ER.
Oh, no.
And you know, this was before they did reattachment surgery, so they just, you know, treated it as an amputation. But that stub of a finger, they didn't let him keep it. They issued it a death certificate and incinerated it.
Wait. They gave him a death certificate for a piece of his pinky.
Yeah.
I
That's weird.
I remember hearing a number of years ago they were giving death certificates for Cabbage Patch dolls, but not for. I don't know if that story was even true either. But I mean,
they do give, they do write out death certificates, and that they use that term for lack of a better one. For if you have a leg amputated, they issue a death certificate for that limb.
is that still practiced today?
Yeah, because part of that is you find a body in the woods, let's say, they're missing a leg. And if the body's in the right state, depending on the state of the body, when you find it, you may not be able to tell when they lost that leg.
Mhm.
So if, you have a person who's missing and you have a death certificate for their leg, and you find a skeleton in the woods that has no leg from, like, say, the knee below, death certificate says their leg was amputated at the knee below, then you've got a probable match.
Well, that's interesting. I did not know that. That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, lots of people fell for it if it's a fake, so don't feel bad at all.
If it turns out to be a fake, then it's the best. It's one of the best fakes that we've had on this show. So
yeah, and like I said, I mean, major news outlets have covered it, so it could entirely be valid, or it could be a fake. I'm inclined to think it's a fake, but that doesn't mean anything. I am no medical expert. I certainly don't know anything about British medical laws, so it's entirely possible they could have given it to her, but my instinct is to think this is garbage.
We do have a few listeners over in Britain, so if you're listening and you can comment on this and let us know in the comments below if this was actually a thing, if this actually was a real thing or not, or if we're just being completely pwned over here. Because in the land of fake news now, trying to get the right story sometimes is a little more difficult.